Warning, what you are about to hear is two guys talking completely unfiltered.
Cut. What are you doing? We don't do disclaimers. The show's called Totally Unprofessional for a reason.
I'll see what you did. You're wasting our intro time.
Yeah. Start the show. It's bullshit that I feel like these people who realize the parental position that these parents are going to be facing when these kids get into trouble.
Yeah.
Right? But they look at that and go, this is my job. I have to separate my job and be the parental mentality, right? Okay, fair enough. But you also have to be understanding of what the situation is as it is. Are their kids punching other kids' lights out? No. These are 5-year-old kids. Some of them have had preschool. Some of them haven't. Some of them have interacted with kids. Some of them are only child. You have to take this on a case-by-case basis, in my opinion. And this is clearly my opinion, not being a parent, that all this stuff has to be taken into account rather than just going, we have a zero tolerance policy. I want you to do something now. My kid is not safe on that playground because these kids are play fighting or play wrestling. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, quit being so goddamn sensitive. They're kids. And if you feel that way because your kid decided to play fight, if a kid was on the ground crying because they got pushed down or they got punched, okay, then you got ground to stand on, in my opinion, of this zero tolerance policy that the district and the school is putting forth. Completely understandable. But when kids are engaging each other and play fighting, climbing on each other, whatever, as long as they're not hurting each other, you should be able to see that as a yard teacher and understand the difference and realize, okay, this is worth disciplining them as a teaching point, as my job, because that's my job, is to teach them or help teach them and guide them on how to interact with these kids in a proper way versus the everybody's offended country that we fucking live in.
Okay, so you're a young buck, so you have to.
By the way, welcome to episode 38.
We're mid-conversation here, and I decided to hit the record button because this kind of stuff is the stuff that I was told that people would like to hear. You know, more of the, I don't want to say casual conversations, but more of the stuff that we talk about amongst ourselves.
Right.
Because we actually do quite a bit of conversing before the podcast, and I'm always like, dude, we got to hit the record.
We missed some of this, yeah.
And really, a couple of people at work and some other people that have listened have said, hey, what do you guys talk about before the podcast? And I'll just throw some things out there, and they're like, well, why don't you just hit record and go with that too?
Yeah.
Fine. So we'll try this out a couple of times. We'll see how it goes. So you're joining mid-conversation. Justin's nephew got in trouble at school. Well, not technically in trouble. He got warned.
He got talked to.
He was out on the playground. He was wrestling, and it was a mutual thing. He wasn't beating up a kid wrestling him. Him and another kid were playing, and they were wrestling.
Well, apparently it was several kids.
Oh, several kids. Okay, so either way, so you just
they were acting as kids do,
and we just discussed like you can't telling a 5-year-old to stand still in line only goes so far.
Yeah.
I'll have a thought that you can share with listener or caller number 12 or 9 or whatever
12.
He's caller 12. Yeah. You can share it with caller 12 when you get home. This goes back farther because it didn't all of a sudden one day become zero tolerance. It started the way you were talking about where it went on a case-by-case basis. You know, the whistle blew and, hey, what are you doing? Oh, we're just wrestling. Oh, okay, well, be careful. That's where it started. I remember that when I was a kid.
Right.
You know, whether you were wrestling or maybe you were playing Voltron or G.I. Joe or
Power Rangers,
yeah, whatever it was. You know, we had those shows when we were younger. Right. So, you know, we mimicked a lot of it when we were kids. So, you know,
your case, He-Man.
He-Man, yeah, you're right. Yeah. She-Ra, you know. Yeah. You know, if you were lucky enough to get a girl to play with you, you know.
Not that kind of play with you.
But you know, there's different situations where kids were out on the playground and they were mimicking what they were watching at home, whatever it was. Right. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward. Holy shit, 30 years. Okay, we're gonna fast forward 30 years to 2016. Now my kids are older now. One's gonna be 20 here in a couple of months. Yep. My youngest will be 14 in a couple of weeks. So I'm about anywhere from as little as 8 or 9 to as much as 15 years out of this.
Right.
So I can throw you what it was 15 years ago, and I can throw you a little bit of what it is now because my
wife,
wife...
it's evolved.
Yeah, because my wife works in that atmosphere.
Right.
So where it's evolved from was where I just said, where they would blow the whistle and say, hey, what are you doing? Be careful. You know, that was the warning. That was like, hey, you know, you might be getting a little too rough. We don't want somebody to get hurt. It's come so far to where a kid would come home with torn pants, for example. And the mom or dad says, hey, what happened? Oh, I was wrestling on the playground, so-and-so threw me on the ground, and blah, 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 blah. Now a parent goes and complains and tells the teacher, hey, are you protecting my kid? Well, we weren't aware anything happened. Well, why are you watching them? And da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, 1 parent, 2 parent, 4 parent, 8 parent. Right. Pretty soon we got a small army of parents complaining that there's wrestling going on at a school. Well, at some point, somewhere along the line, someone got hurt. That's just what affects change. Right. It affected someone's health or physical well-being, mental or physical well-being. Someone get their feelings hurt, whatever it was. So they had to make a small change. Okay, we can't let them do that on there. So if you see that, tell them to stop.
Right.
They didn't actually outlaw it, a zero tolerance policy, which is that I call that the outlaw of it. Yeah. They didn't zero tolerance it, but they did say stop it if you see it. Right. So now we're gonna go to the late 90s, early 2000s, and you're talking about, hey, don't do that. You can't do that here. Don't do that. Now you got kids doing that. Okay, now we got another group of parents in an uprising because someone got hurt doing that again. Right. Now we're getting to the point where we can't allow kids to behave like that on the school at all. At all. That's just, there's zero tolerance. If we let them do it a little bit, it's only going to take one kid getting hurt to sue the district and say, why aren't you protecting my kid? It's gotten to where parents are sending their kids. It's not a teaching environment anymore. It's a babysitting. When you have my kid, you have to make sure they're exactly like I brought them to you.
But see, here's my problem with that. There's a couple things I have wrong with that. One, I'm not saying watch the kids, that they shouldn't watch the kids as closely as they are. That's not what I'm saying at all. Watch them as closely as possible. Hell, even add a couple yard teachers if you need to, because there's so many kids. I have no problem with that. But tell me where there's a line of treating a child who's 5 years old, whose mental capacity as far as understanding a difference in right and wrong is in a developmental stage. It's not that they don't know nothing, but it's in a molding stage. Would you say that's fair? So, yeah. Yes. As far as interacting with kids and other people in a setting, in a school setting, this is your introductory level to a real thing where you have homework, it's in a molding stage.
Well, think of what the government, not the government specifically, but what health organizations have pushed as the first 5 of what the kids learn in their first 5 years, up to 5 years old. It's general behavioral characteristics that are learned. So, go ahead.
So you take that with the understanding of, we have to treat this in that way, that this is a teaching point in a learning opportunity. Now, granted, there has to be a line of, when you hit a certain point, that there's got to be disciplinary action. Absolutely, I fully believe in that. But at the same time, you cannot treat a 5-year-old who's in kindergarten like the 10-year-old that is roughhousing on the playground in the same fashion and go, you can't do this, you're in trouble. Because the understanding of right and wrong and playing and seriously hurting somebody is very different. You know, if you're 10 years old, you've been around kids, you've been in the house, mom and dad have helped understand that, or should have, as far as understanding that roughhouse playing is not acceptable on that level. Yeah. But kindergartners do not understand that wholeheartedly. They think that they're just playing. They don't understand that this isn't real and that, on all levels. Yeah. They think, oh, well, this is how I play at home with my brother or my sister or my uncle or my pop, whatever. And they go to the school, and when somebody engages that in the same way, guess what? It's game time. Yeah. Yeah. I don't agree with, and I haven't agreed with the school system for a while, as far as how they handle certain things as far as education goes. We've talked a little bit about this on this show. But this, in general, pisses me off because it tells me that you're starting on the lowest level and you're not willing to give these kids an opportunity. You wonder why these kids act like fucking pricks when they get to high school. You wonder why these parents deserve to have their ass handed to them. It's because nobody stands up and goes, hey, this kid, what they're doing is not okay, and we try to work with them, and now we have a problem. Versus, this kid's just playing, they understand the difference, and we're working with them, and it's okay. We'll figure it out. Because the kids who didn't get the discipline and went, no, everybody's got to be treated the same. Everybody's got to be... It's on the parents as much as it is the family. You can't sit there and tell a school teacher, hey, I want my kid exactly in the same exact form, not a hair moved on their head. They're kids. They're going to play in the dirt. They're going to scrape their knees. They're going to do all that shit. It is unrealistic for a parent to expect that of the school system. And it's unrealistic of the school system to think that they can come down like a fucking hammer on little kids as if it's older kids. There's a progression. And I think from you having 4 kids that are in a fairly close range of moving up in, you know, discipline level and education level, that you've seen the evolution of disciplinary action and how it's gone. Like you said, over the years from what you went through, all this stuff. The way that they do that, they've cut out the work that they have to do, in my opinion, with the school.
Yes.
They've cut the less you have to do, the better. Well, we'll just put everybody on the same zero tolerance program, and now it's all understood, and we don't got to take it on a case-by-case basis. We don't got to talk to the kid who's got issues going on at home that we don't know about, because, hey, it's zero tolerance. Fuck that. I don't care what's going on with them mentally. They're kids. They don't get a mental card. They don't get a stress day. No. They take that kid as the same kid who just so happens to be a good kid, who's a smart kid, who doesn't have issues going on at home, and goes, no, you made a mistake, zero tolerance, even though they've been square by the book the entire time they've been in school. To me, that's not right. And this is the beginning of that, in my opinion. You take it on with a grain of salt with these smaller kids of helping guide them in the wrong and right in this situation. They're only there 4 hours. You're not there all day long. You're not there. Like, they're trying to learn letters and how to write their name and shit like that. They're not out here trying to beat the shit out of each other like it's the UFC on the recess playground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for
sure. And I hate the fact that it gets fucking treated that way.
Well, and like I said, and for the record here, I don't disagree with you. I'm just
playing devil's advocate.
I'm not even playing devil's advocate. I'm just putting some facts out there from what I've been through. Because I agree with you 100%. You're going to have instances. You're getting your first general taste of it because your nephew's there now.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to actually see you're going to get firsthand accounts of what happened now. You know, we hear instances of, because we've got friends with kids in high school or junior high or elementary, you know, you're going to hear instances of kids where they get in fights and they're both punished the same. Well, wait a minute. You know damn well that one went over there looking for a fight and all the other one did was try to get away. But you're going to treat them the same? They deserve the same punishment? No, bullshit. And that, you could take that back to my high school time where it wasn't like that, where if you got attacked and all you did was try to avoid it and, you know, maybe just defend yourself, you didn't get suspended as long as they could validate what was going on there. Because if you weren't a bad kid, you didn't deserve punishment. You know, you weren't going to be punished for protecting yourself. But now, no, everybody's got to be treated the same. It's got to be handled the same because that behavior is not acceptable. Well, wait a minute. What behavior? That's not the same behavior you're looking at, you know? Your nephew and his friend wrestling is not the same behavior as the two kids on the other side throwing chingazos at each other.
Yeah.
You know? Throwing with a closed fist, trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
You know? These two kids, like we talked about, they're just mimicking what they've watched or seen. You know, they're not critical thinking enough to know that, one, those guys who they watch on TV are well-trained athletes who take care of themselves and prep for that kind of stuff that they do, you know, that those little kids are trying to do. You know, and the first time, I guarantee you, and you'll see it, the first time one of them really fucks himself up, falling or twisting or something, he won't do it again.
Right.
Or he might. But it's not a behavior issue. It's more of a curiosity issue. Yeah. And something that I'm real big with, we have a friend who we play ball with who's a teacher. One of my daughter's friends is a learning director at one of the schools here, you know. And I know a few other people here in town. They're legit teachers. They are teachers. They are people who became teachers because they wanted to teach. Not because it was a career, not because there was money in it, because God knows teachers are sorely underpaid, you know, but because it was they wanted to change lives. They wanted to affect children's lives, you know. It's gone from that where teachers of my, and I don't know what the teachers were like when you went through, but teachers when I went through, you know, you could legitimately walk in and have a conversation. I'm having a problem with English, you know, is there any way I can get some extra help? And they would stay and help you, or they would point you in the right direction. A lot of times these teachers now are like, well, you know, you either get it or you don't, I'm sorry. Or, man, even worse, you're starting to hear more and more, God, this is, I don't want to say it's disgusting, but it kind of is. Well, it's disgusting. It's disgusting, and it shows poor judgment on the next generation of people coming up behind me and you, even some of them your age, some of them maybe between us. These guys are getting involved with these high school girls, you know, and these women are getting involved with high school boys. That's proof right there that the wrong kinds of people are getting into those kinds of positions.
For the record, when I was in school, that didn't happen. And if there was a teacher who was like that, I would have liked to known at the time. I'm just saying, I probably could have been better than a C student. That's all I'm saying.
I would have fixed those grades real quick. Right. Would have been honor scholarship. Here I come.
Right. CSU whatever. Been right there.
CSUD.
Right? That's right. Although conveniently enough, we do have somebody who works for the school system. I'm not going to say what school system or what exactly what school she works at, but we do have somebody here who has an opinion about it.
She doesn't want to talk about it,
but she don't want to talk about it on air. So,
well, like I said, I wish they would go back to this case-by-case basis, but then what you're going to run into, and it's what I hear a lot of, is teachers, okay, let's separate. Let's call alleged teachers and teachers. There are very few I actually consider teachers.
Right.
I don't think that they're there to teach. I think that they're there to collect a paycheck, and they're there to whatever else. Okay? So these alleged teachers are there. They want to show up. They want to go in. They want to do as little as possible. They want to go home. They're going to bitch and complain when things don't go their way. They're going to complain when anything extra is asked of them. When me and you both know, because we coach, you don't get paid enough to do the kind of work that is necessary for success. We're talking about in an athletic atmosphere.
Right.
Okay. I was talking to someone at work today, and they were asking me, "Do you get paid to coach?" I said, "Yeah, I make a little bit of money." And they're like, "What do you mean a little bit, man? You already work." I said, "It isn't. You're asking me relative to how much money I make. It's a big dollar amount, but when you average it out through the amount of time I spend like golf, when you average my payout over the 4 months, it's not very much per hour." Now, I'm not complaining because, one, I love golf and I love to do it, and two,
we don't do it for the money.
Yeah, most importantly, we don't do it for the money. I'm out there because I found a sport that I could teach girls that they could take into their adult lives and help apply it to themselves.
You can answer this on, like, as far as seeing me. Like, when people ask me about how much I make for coaching, I tell them it's side money, is what I tell them. Because like you said, if you equate the time to the amount that we get paid, it's not very high. But as far as me, like, in my opinion, you could tell me if this shows through or not, that when I look at the girls that we deal with, whether it's the first time they're coming in as a freshman and we're working with them early on, or where I'm working with the varsity kids who I've been working with for 3-4 years now, I feel like I'm doing them a disservice if I don't put in the amount of time that they need or that they want to succeed. If they turn around, if practice is over after 2 hours and we have the next day off, and all I'm doing is going to the gym, and they're like, "Coach, I want to get extra work in. Is there a way that, like, while you're lifting weights, that I can get up shots, or is there something you could tell me to work on at home or something like that?" And I go, "Nah, hey, practice is over. This conversation's over. Practice is over. I don't know you until we have another practice."
Yeah.
To me, that's like giving them the finger and going, "I hope you fail."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because when you look at things from my perspective, in an athletic standpoint, the goal is to win games, right? To help these kids develop and win games.
Yeah.
In the teaching world, in the education world, the goal is to win at learning. So getting a scholarship, wanting these kids to go to college, having them want to go to college on their own and get the best possible education you can. I feel like the higher this education difficulty level has gone up, and it's gone up considerably and exponentially since I've been out, and I've only been out 10 years, that the work rate of some of these teachers, not all of them, but some of these teachers, has considerably gone down.
Yeah.
That they don't care about, "Oh, well, hey, it's 3 o'clock. I'm out of here. I don't know you. You want tutorial? You want extra stuff? Go to the general study hall, not my class study hall. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You go do your homework with your friends and check their notes, rather than putting in a few extra minutes here or there on a couple days and getting this shit straight."
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying that this is all teachers. That's not true. But there is a good amount of them who, once 3 o'clock hits, it's over. Game over. And I don't feel like that they're doing the kids a service by doing that. That, like, if me as a coach feels like, "Hey man, I got to put in every opportunity that I can to make sure that these kids succeed," and it's, sometimes it's working with them. Sometimes it just means sitting down with a kid and going, "Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Is school, piling on you? Do you have stuff going on at home that, you don't really want to, like, get into detail about, but is there, something outside of here that's got your mind preoccupied to where you can't give me 100% of your undivided attention?" Like, there's not enough people in this world that do that anymore. Like, the story so much now is you only hear it in these elite athletes.
Yes.
That when these people get to a certain point, it's I want to thank my mom, my dad, God, my family, and then there's always that one coach or that one teacher that they went, this person
really made it.
Put a foot in my ass and said, you either get it and get your butt in gear, or don't do this at all because you don't get to do it half-assed. And they thank that person.
Yeah.
There are not enough of those people in this world anymore.
Yeah.
They were a lot more. I'll give you a name that if you listen to this podcast and you live in the area that we live in, you will know this name. There was a gentleman who was straightforward with me, and I'll always respect it, and it was one of the classes that came the easiest to me. Mike Gaston. He was an athletic director at the high school that I went to. He was my history teacher, my U.S. history teacher. This guy would teach, and if you knew him, you did not want to piss this guy off. You did not want to piss this guy off. He had one rule in class when he was taking notes. Don't fall asleep. That was your job. Don't fall asleep. I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm going to give you a PowerPoint presentation with these notes. You'll take notes every day. Don't fall asleep. You fall asleep, shit's going to hit the fan. Then he would give you 20 minutes on a test day. When you get into that class, 20 minutes you have to study. So if you didn't study, guess what? You got 20 minutes. One day I went to him, I asked him, I said, Mr. Gaston, why do you give 20 minutes on test day? If you know some people aren't going to study because, I got 20 minutes. What do I care? He goes, because 20 minutes isn't going to save you. If you didn't study, you didn't study. Those 20 minutes don't mean anything to the people that didn't give a damn beforehand.
Yeah.
It's the people that are just fine-tuning the details in that 20 minutes that put in the work last night. Those are the ones that are going to benefit from it. I didn't understand that until I became an adult. Like, not one bit. I got an A in that class because it was easy. He made it simple. This is the deal. You're either going to get this with me and we're going to push you to the next level, or you're not going to get it at all. And I can't make you do things. And there's so many people nowadays, everybody needs to go to college.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to get a good education and get a good job. Well, it don't mean dick if you work at McDonald's and you make $15 an hour now, does it?
Yeah.
Not only that, you want a kid who comes from a lower level as far as in-home income, to go to a school that wants to charge you $150,000 for 4 years of school. Oh, this kid's a 4.0 student. This girl or boy has, totally taken her surroundings and decided, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this on an educational level. And then you want to go, okay, well, they're going to need financial aid. Well, guess what? Joe Schmo over here wrote a better essay than you did. You don't get to go to college.
Yeah.
We can't pay for it in the scholarship. We can give you half. Can you come up with the other half? No, you know the background I come from. Well, I guess you don't get to go. I think, in my opinion, that this school system and this educational system has got it ass backwards. And has for a while, and they keep pushing that shit. There's a reason why you look at some of these high school kids, and they got more fucking gray hair than me and you combined. It's pathetic. When I have to talk to your daughters at last year when they were graduating, and I go, you guys ready for this to be over? I can't even focus on it being over because we have to do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why are you doing all that? That's what they require us to do, to move to the next part of this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't evolve educationally. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a better way to project this and hit that ascension. And right now, we haven't got that figured out. You want to know why China owns our ass in education? Japan owns our ass in education and the import-export business? It's because of how they, and I'm not saying that it's correct, but they make sure that your education is a focal point to a point that's what they understand, that there is no, I don't want to do this, or I don't want, no, there's no more of this sensitivity bullshit. You either do it, or you get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, there's a joke that Daniel Tosh makes in his comedy stand-up that he goes, apparently, this country thinks that we're number one in everything. That's why every other country's pissed off at us. If we just went, we're top 10, some people would be like, that's fair.
That's fair.
Like, you don't got to be number one, you're top 10. He goes, because we keep going that we're number one and shit, at some point, China's just going to show up and take over, and we're not going to do shit about it because we're too dumb to know the difference. And somebody's going to be standing there going, fuck, China's here. Do I take my shoes off? Do I bow to them? How do we handle this? I don't know what to do now because they're here. Like, it's a serious thing that you wonder why we're building schools in other countries and shutting them down here.
Yeah.
We want to bail everybody else out around the world, but we won't drop $1 off in this motherfucker.
Yeah. Especially with that big old $1 billion scandal that they sent money over. I mean, just it's crazy.
Yeah, it's dirty.
Things that they'll do here, and what's off is you have people that are behind that kind of stuff saying, well, they're doing the right thing, they're helping other people. Well, come on, I can get behind the idea of helping other people, but we're in a little bit of a shithole ourselves here. You know, we got to start rectifying something. I'm scratching a check every year for my daughter's education to help her get educated, and you know, when she came back after her first year, I went, all right, you need to pull your head out of your ass and get better grades, because I think you saw what happens when your grades aren't as good, right? And she said, yeah. I said, not only that, but you have to own this. You're not owning this right now. This is just something you're doing. It's not something you want to do, because there is a big difference. When it's something you want to do, and I told her, and I use myself as an example, when I said I was going to win golf tournaments, I didn't get close. I started winning. When I said I was going to lose 40 pounds so that I could look better, I lost them. When I said I was going to do this, I did it. Okay? It wasn't, I'm just doing it to do it, going through the motions. No. When you set your goal in front of you, you have something to chase. When you don't, there's nothing to chase. Education's no different. When you go to college, you can't go and say, oh, I'm just going to go and kind of figure things out. No, bullshit. College does not allow you that. It will pass you by. You go into professors, they won't even give you a second look. They're not going to baby you like they do in high school. It's not their job to get you through school anymore. It's their job to say, who wants to learn more? Let's teach the ones who want to learn, and those that don't, thank you for your check. Scratch it one more time next semester and get the hell out of here. You know?
At this point, in my opinion, and we have a lot of friends or mutual acquaintances that are teachers in the school system.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, and I think that they will attest to this, that the only thing that this school system, and I'm not just talking about in our school district, I'm talking about as a whole right now, that the only thing school systems are worried about is an ass in a seat every 2 feet.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times from teachers. Yeah,
because
it's a dollar.
Kids are dollar signs.
They're dollar signs. And what I want to know is, if they're dollar signs, where is that dollar sign coming from? That's coming from me and you. That's coming from John Q. Taxpayer, who puts money into the system to educate our kids, and which I think I have four kids. 2 of them went from K through 12 public school. 2 of them did not. 2 of them were homeschooled for a couple of years, because we went into a parent-teacher conference and the teacher says, they're behind, but that's okay. I don't know what planet you're from, but them being behind is not okay. Come home, talk with the wife. This isn't good. They should not be this far behind and then expect to catch up. We were hearing from other friends, kids who were older, that were having problems in high school because they never learned a basic, maybe a long division, or they never learned how to multiply, cross multiply and stuff like that. I panicked. I know my wife did, and I know that because she said, I'll homeschool them. We'll figure something out. We'll homeschool them. She homeschooled them with the help of a charter school from Kingsburg, and guess what? Those 2 graduated. They graduated not because the school system here, but because parents took it upon themselves to say, this isn't right for my kid. My kid's not in the right path. I need to make sure they get corrected. I supported her in any way I could. We had good friends who helped support us. We had a great charter school over there. We got them into high school, junior high. I think we got them to 8th grade, and then they went back, But she had to base educate them for a couple of years, and she didn't even understand how far behind they were until we got them home. That's a failure. Yeah. The sad part is that not every set of parents is like me and her, where we go, oh shit, this is panic time. I wasn't going to leave my kids out to dry. They weren't going to go to some special school to learn how to retread tires.
Right.
You know what movie that's from?
I'm drawing. I know it's it's right there at the front.
It's Forrest Gump.
There you go.
There's my movie reference for the day.
Well, all I know is this: Monday's back to school night for my nephew, and we're gonna be rolling at least 6 deep. So the school he goes to,
I'm gonna tell you what, man. Those things I used to love going to those when the kids were little. My favorite ones were my oldest and my youngest went to Sultana for a few years, Janessa for a couple of years, and then Manuel from like 2nd or 3rd all the way to 8th. Those things are the funnest things in the world, man. You just strap some money and you go and you buy tickets and you hoard everything. Know that your money is going to a reasonable cause. That is actually one of the ways that those schools generate some of the money that they're short.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even really tip the hat when it comes to making money, But that's an avenue for them to say, hey, we need some help. Let's give you a little bit of fun. And I mean, the silent auctions, those were my end right there, man. I would go and put bids on like 10 and win like 7 or 8 of them. I'd come home with baskets. Everybody would be like, what the hell just happened?
So Monday, when we come back to do the podcast on Monday, I'll have a full report from back to school.
So caller 12, when you go into a conference next time, okay, this is the way to challenge with the way they're dealing with your kid. You tell whoever it is, principal, vice principal, whatever. You go in and you tell them, do you think a 5-year-old's going to listen just because you say so? What happens when you try to tell them to stand in line? They're only going to listen for so long, right? I mean, that's the same with adults. And when they say it's not the same, they need to learn. Start interrupting them every time they start talking. And when they say, well, you haven't learned to shut up and I'm trying to make a point here. It's a quick reference to even adults have problems standing still when they're told, being quiet when they're told, just because they feel. And we've been taught.
Right.
Kids have not been taught. They haven't learned the discipline of subjecting themselves to an authoritative figure yet. That's why you go over there and you do, hey, we can't be playing like this. You know, when you get home, you can wrestle all you want, but you can't wrestle here at school. Right. That's different than saying, no, this is a zero tolerance. They can't be doing that.
They can't do anything.
They don't understand zero tolerance, first and foremost. Second, what the hell? I mean, you couldn't go over there and just break them up? Where's the art teacher couldn't just say, hey, bad idea. Yeah. Let's not do that here, you know? Exactly. You get some power hungry yard people that just think that because they got a whistle, they're gonna go crazy.
Some people believe that whistle is a little bit stronger than what it should be, and that it might need a holster.
We're trying to goad her into the conversation. She's not taking.
She's not biting.
All right, so there's our social interaction for the day, which. That would have been part of the pre-conversation. That would have actually delayed the podcast about 30
Probably
minutes.
Probably
a solid 30, 45 minutes. Because it's an intense conversation. It's a social issue. And there's a lot of them going on. And there's a lot of ways to discuss it. You know, obviously I got my opinion. Justin will have his. You guys will have yours. So it's just the way it gets discussed. You know, I spent the better part of this afternoon at a birthday party. And on Facebook bashing these idiots on a knee for the national anthem because I don't agree with it. Yes, they have the right. Yes, people die for that right. But disrespecting the flag and the country is a lot like saying my cousin was shot by a white guy, so now all white people are evil. You know, you don't get to say, hey, the cops. You know, this is the way I read it from Marshall. You know, I'm not against police officers, the military, or vets. I'm against social injustice. Okay, where in that does it say America and the flag and the anthem? Because those three go in together. Those three are one. You take one, you take all three of them. Okay? I didn't hear him say anything about the U.S. is a corrupt country. I didn't hear him say anything about the flag stands for racism or the anthem symbolizes social injustice. None of those three symbolize that. They symbolize something that's greater than all of that, that's supposed to denounce stuff like that. And you want to boycott something like that? I'm sorry, but maybe I'm an idiot in this realm, but I'm going to tell you what, I won't stand behind that kind of call at all. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. You want to stand up for social injustice? Hey, you guys got the perfect platform. I'm all for it. I mean, when Ray Rice beat his wife down, there was a lot of those athletes that stood up and started making commercials about domestic violence. NFL, hey, they did a good job of using their platform, which is the professional athletes, the pool with the TV companies. They used it real well. These fucking idiots are off the wall here. I don't like this. I agree. There is social injustice. I'm not trying to say it's not there.
What was the thing about I want to say it was like the U.S. hockey team's coach or something? I saw on ESPN.
He dared him to kneel or something. He said he would bench him if they...
was that the hockey coach?
It was the hockey coach, yeah.
There was...
because it was the national hockey team.
Okay, it wasn't that then. Because I saw that. I saw the quote that said, if you sit down during the national anthem, you can stay sitting because you're not going to play.
Yeah.
But there was a coach that Stephen A. Smith... Well, it might have been against him. There was a coach that said that he was a national team coach or manager, one of the two, and he said that this guy was out of his mind and that like he was way off base with what he was saying. I don't know who it was exactly. I just saw the headline.
He was agreeing with Kaepernick and him?
I that's what it came off as, but I didn't read. All I saw was the headline. I didn't get a chance to read the article.
The only other one I saw was the Megan Rapinoe one where...
she took a knee too?
No, where the owner played the national anthem before the team came out so nobody could take a knee.
Well played.
You know what? And he was a vet. And
good for him.
Hey, touche to that guy. He did not let those idiots he pays disrespect what he thought was bigger than them. And hats off to you, bud.
Kudos to him.
I can stand behind that guy 100% because he did not let someone disrespect something he believed in. He understands that is, you're using your platform wrong. Use it the right way, and you'd be surprised how much we're talking about the social injustice instead of talking about the disrespect you're showing to the country. Two completely different things. We're not talking. Sorry, Kaepernick. We're not talking about social injustice right now. I give 2 bits about social injustice. I give a damn about you being right and wrong, and right now you're wrong. You're wrong right now. The flag, the country.
Interesting point about him.
What's that?
Since he's done this in the last month, jersey sales gone up to number 3 in the league.
Yeah, everybody's buying them and burning them.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people don't know if they're buying in support or buying to burn.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Either way, he's saying he's raising awareness. I'm sorry, but last I checked, you got a cut of those jersey sales. So to me, you did a selfish fucking thing by putting your name out there, making sure people buy
I don't think that was his intention.
You don't know.
I don't think no. I don't think, I'm not saying that he didn't do this for attention, but I don't think it was his intention to boost sales on his jersey. He makes $120 some odd million on this backloaded poison pill of a contract that the jackass 49ers decided to let him have. And I think that's the least of his worries is jersey, a cut in the royalties of jersey sales. But I do think that to some degree that when is he going to have the balls to stand up and go, stop doing this. Stop making this about drawing attention to myself.
He hasn't.
He won't.
He won't.
He won't.
No.
This is what gets me about this. You want to say that this is about social injustice and that it's bigger than I am and all, then stop making it about you.
Yeah.
Stop making it about you and then you got these people like the dude on the Seahawks who agrees. The guy from Denver last night who took a fucking knee. The chick that's on the soccer team, she took a knee. Oh, I'm with Colin Kaepernick. Well, guess what? You can get the fuck out too.
Yeah.
Man, woman, don't make a difference to me. I want to see how many of these people want to stand up when you have to deal with, not be put in the same position where, oh, you got to go fight in the front line. Deal with what these vets have to deal with, whether it was right or wrong that you had to go to war for whatever reason, whether it was a Gulf War, Vietnam War, whatever.
Yeah.
You had to go there, and then you had to come home. Tell me you'll trade places with somebody who can't get a realistic job because you have health issues from your service time. You have mental issues from your service time. That your family can barely afford the bills that they have to live in the home that they have because this U.S. government decided to fuck you on paying you the amount of money that you should be for the service that you're giving to the people that live here and the amount of work that you put in. Yep. That you can't talk about to anybody, that you can't tell anybody no story about, that no matter how detailed you get, nobody will ever understand the shoes or the boots that you were in.
Yep.
Tell me how many of these motherfuckers that'll take a knee are willing to deal with that.
Yeah.
Just that. Not go out on the front line, not put a gun in their hand, not put an AR-15 out there and go. No, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the aftermath.
Yeah.
So that you pieces of shit can play a game for a living and live out your dreams and your aspirations and get paid, in Kaepernick's case, mega bucks. But from a professional athlete standpoint, it's always been said, and there's never a statement that's more true, that if you do something you love, you don't work a fucking day in your life.
Yep.
Guess what? None of you motherfuckers work. This is your dream.
Yep.
Not one of these people looks at the game that they play and go, this is just business. There's a business side to what you're doing, obviously, because you got to get your money. But this is a game. This isn't a 9-to-5 job. This isn't a job where you have to worry about benefits and whether or not your family's covered. This isn't a job where you get to sit back and go, if I don't show up today or if I'm late today, I'm fucking done. I get sent home because they'll find somebody else. You show up late, they go, hey, $500. You're like, here you go.
Yeah.
I'll set my alarm. I'm sorry.
It won't happen again.
So let me know when this shit is no longer about these individuals. Then I'll back that up.
Yeah. All right.
Now, speaking of NFL business, opening game last night, Super Bowl rematch, Panthers-Broncos.
Who ate a big bowl of dick last night?
I'll be honest with you. We both picked Carolina.
We did.
We both picked Carolina. Yeah. I had Cam with 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 throwing.
I had 3 and 1.
I was close. He had 1 and 1.
Yeah. Biggest surprise out of that then, out of the Cam. What was your biggest surprise then?
him taking so many hits that he wasn't more mobile.
Well, I thought it was a little bit the opposite. I was surprised that they gave him more designed runs than I had. I don't remember seeing him actually being designed to take a pitch and cut up field away. You're gonna get hit more when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because even if you're dropping back, they are not gonna fly at you to sack you. They're gonna fly at you like they fly at a running back because they don't know if you're taking off. And Cam's not a little guy.
No, he's not.
You know, he's not a little guy.
He's not.
And he got knocked around a little bit last night.
Yeah.
So, Steve Young used to say he didn't like taking off running, even though he was known as a runner, because he got tackled different. He goes, it's a jarring hit when you're running. He goes, if I step back in the pocket and start throwing a lot, I get sacked. I get taken to the ground, but it's not as bad as getting blown up when you're running the ball.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised they went to him more as a runner.
Did the comeback surprise you?
Yes, only because of the defense. Like I said, I did expect the Panthers to run away with it a little more, but I was telling Ralph a little earlier because I was at his daughter's birthday party. He was asking me, so what'd you think? I said, hats off to Kubiak. He took good care of Simeon last night. They did not put him in a situation where he had to do a lot. Don't get me wrong. They asked him to throw the ball a little bit, but the biggest evidence, look at Emmanuel Sanders' numbers and look at Demaryius Thomas's numbers. Both of them held under 5 catches.
Yep.
Neither one of them to 50 yards.
Yep.
Of course, you're looking at C.J. Anderson, whom you would expect to have a bigger game in that situation because it's a rookie quarterback. So the running back's going to get a bigger load.
Yeah.
What he rushed for, 89, 90, 91 yards, somewhere like that.
In that realm.
Had a touchdown, had about 60 yards receiving.
Yeah.
So the formula
had 29 fantasy points if you play fantasy football.
Depending on what league. He only had 26 in ESPN.
No, I checked ESPN and Yahoo, and they both had him at 29.
Okay, we're gonna fact check this here real quick because I remember looking and I didn't have that much of a lead. I have C.J. Anderson in 2 of my 5 leagues, so as soon as this comes up, 25. I have 20. Yeah,
then
20.
maybe your league is scored different ESPN wise.
It has to be. So
because I don't have him on my team, but
you played against him.
No. Like I'm able to see the scores and stuff of other teams, and it showed that he had 29. So
C.J. Anderson has a big game. Like I said, hats off to Kubiak, man. He took care of his rookie. He put the ball in C.J. Anderson's hands. Yeah, that's a different scoring format.
Yeah.
He didn't make Simeon have to overcome anything last night other than being a rookie and maybe first game jitters. Quite frankly, I like the way the kid looked. He pulled a couple of passes down that I thought he was going to throw that definitely would have been picked. They had a slant right there at the goal line set to go to Demaryius Thomas. He came up, put his arm back, and then put it down and turned around, took off the other way, got the first down, got out of bounds.
Yeah.
You don't see rookies do that very often. Seemed to have a decent head on him. Went through his progressions, didn't make any terrible throws. Did make a couple of bad ones, but again, Kubiak, they did not put him in a situation where it had to fall on him.
Did Carolina look as prepared as they could have?
No, I think
so. Okay, so let me ask you this then. And saying no, did Carolina beat themselves, or did Trevor Siemian and the Denver Broncos beat Carolina?
I think Carolina beat themselves. They obviously changed their game plan because they talked a lot. Collinsworth talked a lot about how Cam wasn't dropping as far back into the drop, 10, 12 steps.
He was doing
3, 5, 6 at most. And so Miller didn't get to him till towards the end of the game. Neither did Ware, for that matter. So they changed their game plan a little bit, but they just didn't seem to have a good flow on offense.
Yeah.
Cam looked like a better passer last night, and I was telling Ralph, I said, you know what? This team 6-7 weeks down the road is going to look like a different team offensively because you actually saw Cam last night use Benjamin, use Funchess, use Olsen.
Yeah.
He's using.
I just hope they don't get comfortable in that. Don't do the Michael Vick thing to him.
Well, there's always that thought that what's this guy best at, and what are we going to get the most out of?
He can throw for 400 yards, but he can also rush for 100 if you do it right.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Those designed runs, I don't think they're good. They're not good for him. That's the Michael Vick route right there. You're going to wear that guy down in 2 years, and his shelf life just got cut by 3 or 4 years at least.
Hey, he's been to a Super Bowl. He's got a national championship. Who gives a shit?
So, I mean, better game planning by Carolina, and they're probably okay. I think you saw that they missed Josh Norman, though.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
think definitely saw that defense is not the same. So, But like I said, Carolina, I just felt offensively they were going to be too good for Denver. Even though Denver's defense is still good, you did notice Denver not having Malik Jackson. That's a big missing piece. You saw that last night. They weren't getting that push up the middle. The quarterback.
One thing I will say about their defense, Von Miller,
what a beast.
Dude's an animal.
Yes.
Okay, there's no doubting that.
Yeah.
But I do have to question his decision making. He wore Yeezy cleats. Okay. I've seen Jordan athletes. Michael Crabtree on the Raiders is a Jordan sponsored athlete. There are baseball athletes. David Price on the Red Sox is one of them, where they have Jordan shoes, whether it's the 12s, the 5s, whatever. Crabtree tends to wear the. He likes to wear like the 6s and the 7s. Mm-hmm. Occasionally he'll wear the 5s. David Price will wear the 11s and the 12s, more the 12s. Sabathia only wears the 11s. And they turn them into cleats. They're exactly like your sneaker looks like, with spikes in the bottom of them. This jackass decides to take Kanye West shoes that are made by Adidas and turn these motherfuckers into cleats. Now, before you answer this, hold on. Before you look this up at what they look like. When you think of Kanye West and a shoe, what do you think it looks like?
I would not even gay.
Okay. Now, that being said, I'll give you a description, and when you look at it, you can tell me how accurate or inaccurate my description is.
Okay.
This looks like a variation of an Ugg boot that's made out of, like, alpaca, and they call it fashion.
Really?
And these goddamn shoes are like $350, $400 a pair. Not even bullshitting.
Oh, man.
These things are rare to get.
Oh, jeez.
Now, feel free to look up an image of this and tell me how accurate or inaccurate I am. Just look up Von Miller cleats.
Okay.
See what you get.
This should be interesting.
As he's looking it up here, I'm telling you, Kanye West clothing line to me is not fashion. Okay? Let me just say that right now. He just had his fashion week in New York, all that business. Yeezus season 4, all that.
They were the green ones, right?
No.
They were the orange and gray ones?
No, they were solidly like gray. They were like a whitish gray. Just put in Yeezy cleats. Kanye West clothing line to me is bullshit. And if you pay to wear some of the shit that he puts out, you're a fucking idiot too. Okay? Here's my little soapbox rant. Kanye West and his music, while sometimes it may be pioneerish in some of the stuff that he's doing, it is not all that great. And for those of you who like the music that's on the radio now, fuck you too. You can eat a big bowl of dick. All right? Because music these days is not as good as it used to be. And while I may be the old guy that says, get out of my yard, there are many people that will vouch for me that rap music is not what it used to be, that hip-hop music and R&B music are not what it used to be, and Kanye West is not going to save this shit with the music he's putting out. Creatively, sure, the guy's got some creative ideas that I'm not knocking whatsoever, and I'm not trying to knock somebody who's living out their dream. Good for him. But don't try to put it on everybody like you're the best that's ever done it by saying some of the stupid-ass remarks that he's made and putting clothing out that you think is somehow fashion trendy when you look more like you're fucking homeless. So that's my little soapbox rant. Have you found the picture?
I have.
Okay, let me see the photo.
Is that it?
Yep, those are them.
I'd say your description was fairly accurate. I don't know if that I would call it fashion. There's got to be...
That's what it's called. Okay, that's what they call it.
There's got to be a broad endorsement of it publicly for it to be considered fashion. Is it unique? Most definitely. I mean, I don't know. Criticizing people's choice in fashion, there's too fond of a line for it. What he could say, these are mine, and I wouldn't disagree with it. He could say, I like these, and I wouldn't disagree with it. He could say, I like the way these look, and I wouldn't disagree with it. But when you say that's fashion, I don't know.
I tell you this much. If I'm going to give Tom Brady shit for wearing Ugg boots, you bet your ass I'm going to let Von Miller have it. This is what they look like as regular shoes.
Oh, God. That is nasty.
It looks like they skinned about 6 rabbits and threw Velcro and laces on the son of a bitch.
You're very accurate in your description there. So, anyways, if everybody's probably watched the game by now, I would assume 21-20. The last kick, Collinsworth said it best. You know, Denver called that timeout right before. It was a 50-yard kick. Gano hits that practice one and hits the right upright and knocks it in, but it didn't count because Denver called a timeout. Gano comes up and hooks one to the left. Yep. Overcompensation. Almost everybody agrees that's what it was. And quite frankly, that's why they take the timeout. They hope that something like that's going to happen. He hits that thing dead center, he probably doesn't miss it. But because he missed it the way he did, he probably just overcompensated. And, you know, unfortunately from that distance, you don't have time to get that ball moving two directions. You know, you're lucky enough to get it one, and he got it moving to the left, but he just got it moving too far to the left. So definitely a surprise victory for Denver. I don't think when they knew Manning was coming back, they went and said, yeah, we should win this one. Did they have a chance? Definitely. The defense is still good, as they showed last night. Not as good, but still good. You know, they're going to generate.
Definitely seeing Kelvin Benjamin back and the way that Cam Newton played, it gets me excited for the Raider game that I'm going to see.
Did you see that shot to the hamstrings that Benjamin took?
No.
That tackle?
No.
You got to look that up. Okay. He got tackled from behind. He caught the ball, and I think it was Harris that was flying at him, and he tackled him right at the hamstring level, and Benjamin buckled up. He got up limping. And he eventually went back in, but man, it looked so much worse in full speed.
Speaking of hamstrings, no Rob Gronkowski this week.
Yes,
he's officially been ruled out today.
I saw that he's out. Gronk lovers, week 1 is out of the books for you guys.
So you Patriot loving Tom Brady sons of bitches can eat that shit.
So no Brady, no Gronk.
Right.
You got Garoppolo.
And who are they playing?
They're playing Arizona on Sunday night. So,
hey, go Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think I took the Cardinals. I've got
I
took my weekly picks. Yeah. So one of the things that people are going to see without Gronk and without Brady is the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe, should I say maybe 15. Brady might be fucking the next Vinny Testaverde that just seems to play till he's 80.
I saw a picture on Instagram, and it was like the Uncle Sam poster.
Yeah.
But it was Belichick's face, and he was pointing, and it says, I want you to do your job.
Nice.
So
there's something they
now you're gonna see who I took in fantasy have a more significant role Sunday afternoon.
Who's that?
Martellus Bennett.
Okay, so here's
Gronk. Martellus Bennett gets those catches.
Here's your coin flip. Being that Garoppolo doesn't really have a history with anybody else on that team, he's played with Edelman, he's played with Amendola. LaFell's not there anymore.
Amendola's
agreed, but he is going to be the number 2 receiver on the line. Okay, you're going to have Amendola wide. You're going to have Edelman wide, and you're going to have...
Who's their slot guy?
I have no fucking idea. I'd have to look it up. With LaFell gone, I don't know. Gronk would have been the third one in that one, and then they always have their stable of running backs that they'll switch back and forth and fuck the fantasy world up with. But
well, they kind of can't now with Deion Lewis out. They got their rotation got smaller.
So you're saying that Martellus Bennett gets the ball. Why not Edelman?
Because Martellus Bennett's a bigger look in the red zone.
He is, but he doesn't get as open as Edelman does.
Doesn't need to. Not this time around.
Because he's big?
Because he's big, and it's the Patriot system. Look at what happened to Matt Castle.
Yeah, but...
That guy was not worthy of the money he got paid.
The other argument I would make was that...
But he looked like a stud in that system.
Bennett didn't do it in Chicago.
He did well enough.
With arguably a better quarterback.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. You know.
So... This is
Jimmy Garoppolo's kind of an unknown.
This is Garoppolo's chance to be the next Matt Castle.
Who's behind Garoppolo?
That's a great question. I don't know. I know they drafted a kid 2 years ago. I think he was on the practice squad, but I have no idea.
If you're the guy who was in Ryan Mallett's position several years ago, you're like, fuck this job.
There you go, Jacob Brissett.
Don't know who that is.
Don't know who that is either.
You're probably like, fuck this job, man. Tom Brady's not going anywhere. But now if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you're like, I'll stay. Shit. Brady's on his way out.
Played at Florida.
Really?
That's what it says.
Interesting.
Florida and NC State. Was drafted in the 3rd round this last year.
It's not bad. It's not low.
You know what you're doing is you're saying, okay, we got 3 games to make this motherfucker work.
Yeah.
Let's go 1-2.
Yeah.
If we go 2-1, awesome. 3-0, even better.
Yeah.
You're just buying time till Brady gets back.
Till it pissed off Tom Brady.
That's as big a...
And opens up a new asshole on your Bengals.
Being behind Tom Brady is just about as bad as being behind Aaron Rodgers. You know,
or Ben Roethlisberger.
Or Ben Roethlisberger. Or Brett Favre, for that matter. Yeah. I mean, it's a dead-end job.
Don't get me started on the Brett Favre situation. I'm not holding any grudges, but... You know, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan of watching him play with Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams, especially for Devontae Adams' success being a Fresno guy. But what they did to Brett Favre was wrong, and I'm not going to get into
What did they do to him?
I'm not going to get into it. We got other business to cover.
We will get into it.
We'll save that one for a different day.
Okay. We'll call it the Legends episode.
There you go.
So
yeah, the Packers handled that with some legendary bullshit. But anyway. The other thing going on this weekend besides the kickoff, UFC 203 tomorrow.
Yep.
Weigh-ins were today. Everybody made weight, but one guy.
Who was it?
His name's McBride. He missed it by 2 pounds.
Wow.
So 20% of his purse goes to his opponent. And when you're on the low card, because he's in the prelims on Fox Sports 1.
Talking about 20%.
That's a big
10 grand
big chunk of your little amount of money.
I saw the CM Punk stare down.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
He looked like shit at the weigh-ins, man. Like
that's why they do it on Friday, though.
Well, that's why they do it so early.
Yeah, I mean they give some time to hydrate. And
if you saw him doing his flexing pose with no shirt on, you could see his ribs literally. Like you thought McGregor looked bad. Like
yeah.
The only reason why people understood how bad Conor looked was because they had the 170 steel frame to put it side by side. They asked Punk this week, when was the last time you were in the 170 range? He said 8th grade. So they said, did you do a practice cut before you started camp? Nope. Several times he was asked that. The answer stayed the same. Nope. He looked like shit. He hit championship weight, 170 right on. But he looked like shit.
Wow.
Like you look like you could grab his wrist with one hand. Like,
oh shit.
He looked bad. But anyway, we got Drew Dauber on the early prelims on Fight Pass at 4 o'clock. I can't even say that dude's name, versus Spencer. Those are the 2 Fight Pass prelims. And then the FS1 prelims that start at 5 o'clock. We got CB Dollaway takes on Bamoso, or Barroso, however you say his name. That one should be good. CB Dollaway is always a good fight. They're light heavyweights at 205. Lentz and McBride, like I said, McBride missed weight. He weighed in at 158. Lentz weighed in at 156. And then you got Tavares and I don't even know, Mahelis. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I don't know too much about Tavares or the other guy, so I can't really tell you whether or not that's going to be a good fight. But the main event of the prelims, Jessica Ai versus Betch Coher at 135.
That should be an interesting one.
I felt that they should have flip-flopped that for the other women's fight that's on the main card, which is Andrade versus Calderwood. Because Jessica Ai and Betch Coher have more of a name than those two do. So I felt they should have been on the main card, the first fight on the main card, rather than the head of the prelims.
But they had to have a draw towards the prelims, because that's really the only draw on the prelims.
CB Dollaway was that guy.
Okay.
But anyway, so Jessica Ai versus Betch Coher should be a good one. Jessica Ai is from Cleveland. She's another hometown kid that for this event being in Cleveland. So she gets to sleep in her own bed every night while she's training. So it should be a good one for her. We've seen the last time we saw Betch Coher, she got knocked the fuck out by Ronda Rousey.
I remember that.
In punches. So, and Jessica Ai is deadly. So hopefully it'll be a good fight. Like I said, Andrade Calderwood, I don't know those two women. I don't know a whole lot about them. Faber, Jimmy Rivera should be a good one.
I thought Faber was going to retire after the last time
we thought so too. His media scrum... 2 days ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was saying that, he's hoping to be around for as long as possible. And that Jimmy Rivera is a guy that some people say that people are avoiding him. Some people are saying that he just isn't anybody important.
He's not there yet.
But he's definitely, out to prove something with Faber.
Yeah.
And Faber's got his own shit to prove.
Faber's got notoriety already. They know what kind of fighter it is. So
he'll be looking to make his name.
Yeah, he's going to need to have that name win, that name victory there.
And then third from the top, CM Punk versus Mickey Gall. Gall, who's 2-0, one fight in the UFC, one outside. He was taken from the show looking for a fight on Dana White's web series on YouTube. And he called out CM Punk knowing that Dana White was there. They told him, you fight Michael Jackson. You beat Jackson, you get Punk. He beat him and took him out in less than 90 seconds, choked him out. He punched him, dropped him, and then took his back and choked him out with a rear naked choke. Both of his fights that are professional have ended in a rear naked choke. But he's relatively a nobody as far as like what they, footage they have on him and who he's, where he's come from, that type of thing. He's been talking a big game though all week long, that he's going to knock out Punk in the first round and he's going to choke him out or knock him out in 90 seconds and that'll be it, and that he's going to make a name off of Punk. And Punk tried to be funny this week. Like, I think people were kind of expecting him to be the CM Punk wrestler. Yeah. And they got Phil Brooks, who is the guy who's just, he's sarcastic. He's, he tries to be funny because he's enjoying this process. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, oh, okay. Like, they didn't want to laugh. They didn't, and he was just like, you guys are a pain in the ass. Like, you guys are some tough crowds. Like, what the fuck, And so I want to see him do well. He says it's he signed a multi-fight contract. This just isn't a one-off. Being older, if I was younger, I think I would be rooting for Mickey Gall because Punk's an older guy who's coming into a sport that has no experience and stuff like that. But because I'm older now and have an understanding about pursuing things you want to pursue and doing things your way, I have respect for what he's doing. Yeah. I admire the fact that he's going out there going, I'll take on whoever you throw at me in the biggest promotion. Maybe I shouldn't start here, but that's where I'm at. Yeah. And I just in general, and I said this today, I talked to a friend of our show and a friend of mine, Bryce Ratanico. I texted him and said, hey man, how do you think Punk's going to do? And he said, I really have no clue. He looks like an amateur fighter from the footage I've seen, but I don't have a clue. I heard somebody report that on this Evolution of Punk show, which they did 4 episodes of a 30-minute show, showing him his build-up over the 2 years to get here, that maybe he was sandbagging of what they showed. That because they showed a lot of his early stuff.
It's always possible.
And that since because he had back surgery for a herniated disc, apparently he was having numbness in his limbs from that herniated disc. And so he goes, now that that's gone and all, it's very different. It's, stuff like that. Yeah. Frank Mir was on his podcast because in the last episode of the Evolution of Punk, they showed him doing a sparring match where he choked the guy out with a rear naked choke. He didn't have the hooks in though. Like he just choked, like he held onto it and choked him out. They showed Anthony Pettis being in his corner, coaching him up. Frank Mir gets pissed and says, this guy doesn't deserve to be here, and I guarantee you that guy was helping him. That guy was taking it easy on him and let him choke him out. He goes, because Punk didn't even have any hooks in. This coming from a guy who got busted for PEDs and has said, fuck this, all this other business. So, sounds to me like he's a little bit sour.
Just a little.
And stuff like that. So, with the whole Punk thing, I want to see him win as a fuck you to all the young people. Yeah. Like I said, I'm the get out of my yard old guy. That's where I'm at with that. I want to see him be successful. The co-main event, Fabricio Verdum, Travis Brown. Brown stepped in on a month notice. Verdum was supposed to fight Ben Rothwell.
I think Brown's just a better fighter.
Really? Yeah. He hasn't done well lately.
He hasn't, but again,
the last time you saw him was UFC 200 when he got kicked in the fucking face by Cain Velasquez.
That was ugly, wasn't it?
Yes.
When you're on the ropes, you got to respond.
Yeah.
So I can see him. I can see him coming out firing.
Verdum says that he wanted this card purposely because the last time he fought was lost the title to Miocic. Mm-hmm. That he purposely wanted this card so that way he could beat Brown and get his rematch. In the main event, Stipe Miocic, the Cleveland dude, because once again this is where the event's at. It's Cleveland fighting Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem's a fucking beast. Like I'm not gonna say that he's not, but since they started doing PED testing. Here's your what to look for. What to look for, look up a photo or a fight of Alistair Overeem before PED testing. Look at him in his Brock Lesnar fight where he kicked Lesnar in the stomach and the fight ended because Lesnar couldn't take the shots to the stomach because he was dealing with diverticulitis. So look at that Alistair Overeem and look at Alistair Overeem in his last fight. I'm not saying he don't have huge arms. I'm not saying he's not built. But it is a smaller Alistair Overeem. He's never tested positive. But I will tell you, he got a wake-up call and went, oh, I can't do this no more. So, picks for your fight. Who you got, Faber, Jimmy Rivera?
Faber.
Who you got for Punk and Mickey Gall?
That's tough, but I just think that it hasn't been enough time for Punk. I think he needs
2
more
years
time.
isn't enough.
And I think not even so much the 2 years, but he is fighting someone who was already a fighter. You're not fighting someone new. You're fighting someone new to the UFC.
This guy's a kid, though. This is what I think.
How long do these kids start training, though? I mean, this kid could have been a karate kid growing up, or a jiu-jitsu guy, or you don't really know.
He's a big 170. He's a lanky 170 for what he is, and
which would explain the chokeout.
He's like, I want to say he's 20 or 21. One of the things that was funny on the embedded videos was they go to those rooms, like they go to different rooms in these hotels where they go to fittings, and they do like fittings for their fight kits and their gloves, and they sign posters over and over again. And Mickey Gall was quoted as saying, "I don't belong on the poster yet." Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But then he's in the room waiting for his turn to go through his fight kit shit, and Alistair Overeem walks in the room. And he sees him. But Overeem doesn't see him. And he kind of like looks again, and he's just like kind of staring at him, like hoping he's going to turn around like starstruck, like that's fucking Alistair Overeem.
Fanboy?
Yeah. So Overeem turns around and sees him and shakes his hand. And he's like, "Hey, I'm Mickey Gall." And he goes, "We know who you are." He goes, "You're here. We know who you are." And then he looks at him and he goes, "Hey, you shut him the fuck up this weekend."
Nice.
So he's another one that's against Punk, that he doesn't believe that he should be there for.
I don't want to say I don't believe Punk shouldn't be there. You can only train for so long before you got to have a fight. I mean, he almost would have been better off saying, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to do jiu-jitsu for a year, and I'm going to do some competitive jiu-jitsu," because we both know that's the bread and butter right there, is that jiu-jitsu. If you can't defend it, you're done. Even against a mediocre jiu-jitsu guy, you got to be able to defend it. So trying to group everything into some kind of 2-year training camp without any kind of knowledge of where you're at, I don't know. I think it's going to be too much for him to overcome. But I'm in the same opinion of you. Hey, man, old guy wants to learn something new, and he put everything he had to it. It's got a deal. Hey, have at it. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that happens? He loses a couple of fights?
Right.
Shit.
You said you got Brown versus Verdum?
I got Brown. I see him coming back.
Championship fight for the heavyweight title, Miocic versus Overeem. Who you got?
Miocic.
You got Miocic retaining at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jimmy Rivera over Uriah Faber.
Why?
Younger. Faber's on the way down. I think Rivera's got something to prove. You don't know who he is. He's that chip on your shoulder means a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the time for him to step through that curtain and go,
that'd be fair.
"Your ass belongs to me."
Yeah.
Punk Gall, like I said, I'm with Punk. I want to see him win as a fuck you to all the young people. Verdum versus Brown. For Travis Brown's sake, I want to see him win. But lately, I mean, he's a proven factor of what Ronda Rousey's mom has said is a problem. His head coach is the same as Ronda Rousey. It's Edmond, who's out of Glendale Fight Club, who is predominantly a boxing coach. While he has helped Travis Brown in his boxing, he has not significantly gotten better or won fights since he's switched camps. Verdum is a former world champion.
Yeah.
And Brown, while you could say Verdum hasn't prepared for Brown either, physically he's been preparing, whereas Brown is a month out and going, "Oh, now I got to get ready for this guy." Like, head says Verdum, heart says Brown. You don't usually go with your heart when picking, so I'm going to go with Verdum.
Okay.
Miocic Overeem. I get Overeem's trying to sell this fight. He's ran his mouth a little bit. He's had some fun with the fans. It's been a different Alistair Overeem. He's usually a pretty quiet, like, I'm a monster, don't talk to me type of guy. And this week he's been a lot more talkative. He's been a lot more like haha to himself, enjoying himself. But I like Stipe. He's doing some great things, and he comes from not a fight town in Cleveland. Like, they're not a big town. It's not Vegas. It's not New York. It's not LA. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not Boston. It's not a big name place. And Overeem, who his citizenship is from England, he's won in, well, technically he's from the Netherlands. He won in, Rotterdam and stuff like that. But I just feel like for somebody who's walking in there, there's a way to sell a fight, and then there's this genuine sense that you get from people. And Stipe's got this genuine feeling right now that, he's here to fucking stay.
Yeah.
Like, He wanted to win a championship. He came out and caught Verdum going backwards, mind you, not going forwards, running backwards for when Verdum was chasing him, and he caught him. Overeem is known for his kickboxing. He's known for his striking. He's not really well known for choking people out and shit like that. Guess what? Stipe throws kicks too, and he caught Verdum with a hook. So, and we've seen Overeem get caught. He tends to have a weaker chin. In case you don't know what the significance of having the 2 heavyweight bouts back to back is that the 4 of them have traded wins with each other.
Oh, okay.
Like Verdum lost to Stipe for the title, but Brown has beaten Overeem. Verdum has already beaten Brown one time. This is the second time they're fighting. And then you have Stipe, who's lost to one of them also. Like, they've traded wins with each other. So, it should be an interesting card. Better than people think I think it's going to go. But like I said, I'm going to take Stipe.
That's what I keep reading. I won't get to see it. I'll be at Magic Mountain all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
You do that.
Some NFL games real quick. It's week 1. Don't put a whole lot of stock in it. It's
Raiders play the Saints 10 a.m.
Yeah, it's not like college where wins and losses matter until you get towards the end. You got to be set up. But some of the games to watch: Raiders Saints
10 o'clock in New Orleans.
I think their defensive test is the bigger one here. We know what their offense is capable of. The questions are going to be around their defense. They're going to have to show their ability to stop the pass. Because Alex Smith, he'll nitpick you. We know they can stop the run, but Alex Smith in the AFC West will nitpick you. He's a West Coast guy. 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. You got to be able to stop that. Well, Drew Brees is a lot of the same thing. He can throw the deep ball, but he relies on his receivers.
Who do you recommend playing in your fantasy league, Drew Brees or Derek Carr? I have both of them.
Given the nature of the offenses, I would say Drew Brees. I don't think David Carr's a bad option.
You mean Derek Carr?
Derek Carr. But I just think that, like I said, the offensive
I just think that
draw up is the Raiders want to run the ball.
Yeah,
they want
to establish the Latavius
They
Murray.
run to create. The Saints throw to create. Yeah. There's a big difference there. That's why I took Drew Brees in my big league.
Yeah.
I took Drew Brees because Cam was off the board because he's just an all around. Aaron Rodgers was off the board. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking Matt Ryan or Drew Brees because they're pass first offenses.
Who the Bengals got?
They have the Jets this week in New York.
Early game?
Yes, it'll be 10 a.m.
10 a.m. also. Jets.
You got Sunday night game, Arizona, New England. New England minus Gronk.
Go Arizona.
Too, so I can't see Arizona losing that game.
Don't say that. Every time you say shit like that, it goes the other way.
I took Arizona on my picks. They have to win. That would be that game right there would make me 7-0 because I didn't jack with any of the Monday night games. So
smart.
That game.
Monday night game. 49ers Rams.
Yeah.
Blaine Gabbert and Case Keenum. Woohoo!
Yeah. And Steelers Redskins have the early one.
Yeah, that'll be the game to watch.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of reading all this bullshit about the Steelers.
What about them?
They ain't got dick. They're a pick to win the Super Bowl this year. They're one of the main
I ain't
picks.
never going to vote against Ben. Especially who's got Antonio Brown. And they got a rotation between Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo Williams that it don't matter who you put in. It seemed like last year they were going to get their money's worth.
Yes,
so
definitely.
I'm not going to pick against them.
Well, they got to get by Cincinnati first because the AFC is getting better. Well,
they'll at least split it with them.
Well, they didn't last year.
They're going to at least split it with them.
Well, they're going to split it with them, but they got to be able to win the division to get out. They got lucky last year that the Jets lost that game in Week 16.
You say 17. Luck. I say that was bound to happen. The Jets suck.
The Jets were 10-6.
Although I do hope Eric Decker does well. I have him on my fantasy.
These are the weeks where Cincinnati plays somebody. I'd take anybody.
That should be my new fantasy team name, the Decker Checkers.
The Decker Checkers.
There you go.
Could be endorsed.
You know what a Pecker Checker is.
Yeah, I know
so the Decker Checker.
The Decker Checker, nice.
There you go.
All right, so
let's see. Anything else we're missing this weekend?
I don't think so.
Red Sox are in first place, and they beat Toronto again tonight.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Baltimore and Eric.
Big Poppy got a parka out in Toronto.
He got a big old what you would call it, snow parka.
Yeah, that was awesome. I saw that picture. It was pretty cool.
They hooked him up in Toronto.
Yeah.
Hey, shit, I hope that if they're smart, they go after Jose Bautista after the season's over to replace him.
They could.
So that way he don't have to play as much in the outfield and he could be their DH. I'd love to see the bat flip in Boston. Just saying.
I think the MLB is being real classy about how they're paying respect to Ortiz. One of the last true hitters of the era, hats off to MLB and all the clubs taking part in it. You know,
Yo.
they're showing a lot of class doing that. So
absolutely,
good work.
And they're not taking too much time in doing so.
Yeah.
He got a surfboard from San Diego.
Yeah.
That had like his whole like picture printed on of him like hitting home plate when he hits a home run. He looks up and points up. Like that was pretty cool.
I didn't see A-Rod get all of that. So,
Oh, that's because A-Rod's a fucking cheater.
Or Jeter.
Hey, Jeter wanted to go out quietly.
Yeah, he did.
He's that type of guy. He's low key.
So did Rivera. It was the same thing.
They did the same thing to Rivera.
Yeah.
Like they gave him stuff, but he asked for it to be at the end.
Yeah.
Like the Red Sox gave him a chair from the Green Monster.
Oh wow.
And a piece. They gave him his 42 number out of the wall.
Oh nice.
So that's what he got from the Red Sox.
So that'll wrap up this episode. I don't think we're missing anything.
I don't think so.
We got your what to look for. Football's back. I'm fucking stoked unless they start taking these.
So if you're one of Manuel's friends and you want to reach out to him, you could politely wait until at least the in-between of 4 to 5:30.
Yeah.
Once the afternoon to evening game finishes.
No, fuck that. We're going to be cooking, aren't we?
This weekend we are.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Here's a better thought. Don't fucking call me on Sundays, okay?
He'll see you Monday.
I get enough fucking text messages from those clowns at work talking shit when the Bengals are losing or when they know my picks are going south. They talk a lot of shit, and that's just, yeah.
Fair
just
enough.
don't bother me on Sunday.
Fair
so.
enough.
All right, well, I don't remember what episode this is.
You never do. 38 is the number
Episode
we're on.
38.
38. So shout out to caller 12. Hopefully you'll leave us a comment on some of the stuff we talked about earlier in the episode. As always, if you're listening to us on Podbean, then you already know about the Instagram. Totally_unprofessional on Instagram. Follow us, we'll follow you back. You can leave a comment, like, share, do what you got to do, tell your friends. YouTube, if you're listening to us on Podbean, we also have YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel. It's called Totally Unprofessional Podcast, where we have every episode up there in its entirety. If YouTube's easier to access than Podbean for you because you don't want to follow the link that's in our bio on an Instagram page, you can go to YouTube. We have either one of those. Still in the works with iTunes.
Yeah.
We're still working on that, trying to get that shit figured out. It's more complicated than people think. So, yeah, like I said, like, share, comment, give us a shout out. Once again, we apologize the amount of time we had today. We couldn't get the mayor of Woodlake in here. No time for him.
He said he had to be there early. He had to be somewhere early tomorrow. So, I think he's going to Magic Mountain is what it is. So,
anyway, no time for him. Well, hopefully we'll have him on the show soon. A couple other people we got in mind. Don't want to give too much away. And Monday, we will have a full roundup of the NFL and the weekend.
Roundup, some UFC 203 roundup.
We'll have the results of UFC 203, how everything went. Talk a little bit of wrestling. Probably get some of that off because Sunday is WWE Backlash.
Oh, wow.
The first SmackDown live exclusive pay-per-view on the WWE Network, which you can get for $9.99.
Nice.
Which is not a sponsor of the show, by the way.
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll do a little bit of wrestling talk, a little football talk, a little UFC talk, and anybody that leaves questions, comments, or anything for us to talk about, we'll make sure we get that in there, too. So, this has been Friday, episode 38. I'm Justin.
The man,
and we've been Totally Unprofessional.